Welcome to our deep dive into the life of Franz Liszt.
Yeah.
I think exploring his journey as a musician and importantly as a man of faith will be particularly insightful for you given your own devout Catholicism.
Yes. Liszt's life was quite a complex tapestry, weaving together immense musical talent, passionate romances, and a profound spiritual journey that ultimately led him back to the church.
It really is remarkable.
Yeah.
We're diving into excerpts from his biography today.
Okay.
And what stands out to me is the sheer breadth of his experiences.
Right.
From child prodigy, touring the aristocratic circles of Europe, to grappling with personal loss and societal upheaval. Liszt's story is anything but ordinary.
Yeah.
He even became a composer for the people incorporating folk music and pushing for broader music education.
And his Catholic faith is intertwined with all of these threads.
Right.
It's almost as if his life mirrors the tension between worldly pursuits and spiritual longing that many people of faith, perhaps even you, experience.
Okay, let's unpack all of this, starting at the very beginning.
Okay.
Imagine rural Hungary in 1811, a small town called Revert. Franz Liszt is born, and get this, there's a comet blazing across the sky at the very moment of his birth.
Oh, wow.
It's like something out of a novel, isn't it?
It certainly adds a layer of mystique to his origins.
Right.
And, that comet became a sort of self-fulfilling prophecy, fueling the sense of destiny surrounding him from a very young age.
It makes you wonder if people treated him differently, expecting greatness from him because of this celestial sign. But it wasn't just superstition. His musical talent was undeniable.
Oh, yeah.
His father, Adam Liszt, was a steward for Prince Esterhazy and a music lover himself. He recognized Franz's talent early on and became his first teacher.
It's fascinating how these early influences shape a prodigy's development.
Yeah.
In Liszt's case, having a musically inclined father who nurtured his talent clearly played a significant role.
Absolutely. And this wasn't just a casual interest.
Right.
Franz was reading music before he could even read words.
That's a hallmark of many prodigies.
Yeah.
A seemingly innate ability that blossoms at an incredibly young age.
By age 9, he's already performing public concerts to rave reviews.
Wow.
Can you imagine the pressure and expectation on such a young boy?
It's hard to fathom, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it makes you wonder what kind of childhood he truly had, balancing these incredible demands with the normal joys and challenges of growing up.
His family eventually moved to Vienna so he can study with the best, including renowned teachers like Charles Czerny and Antonio Salieri.
Vienna was the heart of the European musical world at that time.
Right.
It's like sending an aspiring artist to study in Florence during the Renaissance.
It must have been an incredibly stimulating environment for him.
Yeah.
And speaking of stimulating, there's this great anecdote about young Liszt visiting a music publisher's office.
Okay.
He nonchalantly sits down at the piano and starts playing Hummel's Concerto in B-flat.
Oh, wow.
A piece considered incredibly difficult even for seasoned pianists.
I wonder what was going through the publisher's mind as this young boy effortlessly tackled such a demanding piece.
I'm picturing a mixture of shock and awe.
Yeah.
This is the kind of talent that leaves you speechless.
Right.
And to top it all off, word of his talent reaches Beethoven himself, who attends one of Liszt's concerts.
Receiving Beethoven's approval was like being knighted by the king of music.
Yeah.
It must have been an incredibly validating moment for Liszt solidifying his place as a rising star.
But as his star was rising in Vienna, the family sets its sights on another cultural capital, Paris.
This move in 1823 marks a significant turning point in Liszt's life. Paris was a hub of intellectual and artistic ferment, and it exposed him to a whole new world of ideas and influences.
He becomes an instant sensation, especially in the aristocratic salons.
Yeah.
They called him Le Pic Mozart, which, as you can imagine, is incredibly high praise.
It wasn't just hype, though. At just 14, he composes and premieres an entire operetta.
Wow.
Don Sancho ou le Château de l'Amour. That's a remarkable accomplishment for someone so young, even a prodigy.
It speaks to his work ethic and discipline traits that would serve him well throughout his career.
Yeah.
But amidst all this success, there were also challenges.
Right.
The family was struggling financially, relying heavily on Franz's concerts to make ends meet. His father even invested their savings with Prince Esterhazy, hoping for a big return.
It's a reminder that even with extraordinary talent, life is rarely a smooth path.
Yeah.
There were practical concerns and real-world pressures that weighed on the young Liszt and his family.
And during this time, he experiences his first major separation from his mother.
Oh.
Who has to return to Austria.
It must have been a very difficult experience for him, especially given their close bond.
Yeah.
It's almost a foreshadowing of the deeper losses he'll face in the years to come. It's a poignant reminder that even amidst triumph, there's often an undercurrent of vulnerability.
Yeah.
And sadly, this vulnerability becomes even more pronounced in 1827 when his father Adam dies suddenly.
It's a devastating loss for Liszt, who's only 17 at the time.
Mm-hmm.
He's thrown into a whirlwind of grief, and it triggers a period of intense spiritual questioning.
Imagine carrying the weight of the world on your shoulders.
Yeah.
The expectation of genius, the responsibility of providing for your family, and now the immense grief of losing your father.
It's hard to comprehend what he must have been going through.
Right.
He throws himself into caring for his mother, continues those grueling music lessons, all while trying to manage his burgeoning career.
Oh, wow.
It's no wonder he seeks solace in a relationship.
Yes, he falls in love with a young woman named Caroline, a student from a noble family.
Okay.
It's a beautiful, intense romance.
But like so much in Listz's life, tragedy strikes again.
Oh, no.
Caroline dies, and it deepens his despair, pushing him towards a spiritual crisis.
Right.
He even expresses a desire to join the priesthood.
It's a testament to the depth of his anguish and his search for meaning beyond the fleeting fame of the concert hall.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's something that resonates with many people of faith, this yearning for something deeper, something more enduring.
It makes you wonder what kind of priest he would have been.
Right.
But as we know, his path doesn't lead him to the monastery.
No.
A priest, recognizing his extraordinary talent, reminds him of his duty to music and to his mother.
It's almost like a divine intervention, gently guiding him back towards his true calling.
Yeah.
And interestingly, this period of personal turmoil coincides with a period of immense social and political upheaval in France.
The 1830 July Revolution seems to have a profound effect on him.
Okay.
He starts devouring books on philosophy, history, politics. It's like he's trying to make sense of the world around him.
Right.
To understand the forces that shape society.
It's a fascinating shift from his earlier focus solely on music.
Yeah.
He's engaging with the big ideas of his time, grappling with questions of justice, progress, and the role of the artist in society.
And during this time, he becomes involved with the Saint Simonians, a utopian socialist and religious movement that advocated for social justice and the transformative power of art.
The Saint-Simonians believed in a kind of spiritual and social renewal.
Right?
And their ideas clearly resonated with Liszt, who was already questioning the traditional structures of power and privilege.
It makes you wonder if his involvement with this movement influenced his later decision to compose for the people, incorporating elements of folk music into his work.
It's certainly possible.
Yeah.
It seems that Liszt was always searching for ways to make music more accessible, to break down the barriers between the elite and the masses.
As if all of this wasn't enough to shake things up, the legendary violinist Nicola Paganini arrives in Paris.
Paganini's virtuosity was legendary.
Right.
He was known for his incredible technical skill and his flamboyant stage presence.
Yeah.
He was a rock star of his time.
And his arrival has a profound impact on Liszt, inspiring him to push his own piano technique to new heights.
Mm-hmm.
There's even a sort of rivalry with another pianist, Thalberg, which further fuels his ambition.
It's fascinating how competition can spur innovation.
Yeah.
Liszt takes the criticisms and challenges and uses them to refine his own unique style, blending technical brilliance with deep emotional expressiveness.
He's not simply replicating what others are doing.
Right.
He's forging his own path, becoming a true artist, someone who's not afraid to experiment and push the boundaries of what's possible.
Yeah.
And speaking of pushing boundaries, his personal life also takes a dramatic turn during this period.
Yes, he enters into a passionate and tumultuous relationship with Countess Marie de Gouges,
Okay.
a woman of exceptional intelligence and beauty.
They elope and have 3 children together, including Cosima, who will later become Richard Wagner's wife.
It's a relationship that causes quite a scandal.
Wow.
They face social ostracism, and the Countess eventually separates from her husband.
It's a reminder that Liszt, both personally and artistically, often challenged societal norms.
Right.
He wasn't afraid to follow his heart, even if it meant going against the grain.
And amidst all of this personal drama, his career continues to flourish.
Yeah.
He composes, performs, writes, further develops his theories about the role of art in society.
He even becomes close friends with the composer Hector Berlioz, another musical revolutionary of the time.
They say you can tell a lot about a person by the company they keep.
Right.
And Liszt's circle included some of the most brilliant and forward-thinking artists of his day.
He even writes a biography of Chopin.
Wow.
It seems his creative energy was boundless.
Yeah.
But something interesting happens in the midst of all this success.
Okay.
He becomes less interested in playing for those elite circles and more interested in composing for the people.
This is a significant shift in his thinking.
Right.
He starts incorporating elements of folk music into his compositions and advocates for broader music education.
Mm-hmm.
He wants to make music accessible to everyone, not just the privileged few.
It's a reminder that true artistry isn't confined to the ivory tower.
Right.
It can and should engage with the lived experiences of ordinary people.
Absolutely. And this shift in Liszt's thinking coincides with his growing interest in the music of Richard Wagner.
Okay.
Another composer who was challenging the conventions of opera and pushing the boundaries of musical expression.
This is where Liszt's story takes another fascinating turn.
Okay.
He accepts the position of Kapellmeister in Weimar, Germany, where he actively champions Wagner's music.
A Kapellmeister, for those who might not know, was essentially the director of music at a court or theater.
Right.
So Liszt was in a position of considerable influence, and he used that influence to promote the music of a composer who was still considered quite controversial at the time.
It's a testament to his courage and his belief in the transformative power of art.
Yeah.
He wasn't afraid to take risks to stand up for what he believed in, even if it meant going against the prevailing tastes of the day.
And as his career reaches these new heights, you start to see a subtle but significant shift in his personal life as well.
Oh.
There's a renewed focus on his faith, a return to those spiritual questions that have haunted him since his youth.
It's almost as if all of the trials and triumphs of his life, the early fame, the tragic losses, the artistic and social awakenings, are leading him towards a deeper understanding of his faith.
And this culminates in a rather remarkable decision. In 1865, at the age of 54, Liszt enters into minor holy orders.
Wow.
Becoming Abbé Liszt.
It's a decision that surprises many, but as you pointed out earlier,
right,
it's not entirely out of character. Those spiritual longings that search for meaning beyond the concert hall had always been a part of him.
Exactly. And it's worth noting that he doesn't completely abandon his music.
Oh, okay.
He continues to compose, but there's a noticeable shift towards sacred music.
Interesting.
He's still a renowned teacher, still a figure of influence in the musical world.
Right.
But there's a new dimension to his work, a sense of devotion that wasn't as prominent before.
He's not simply playing the role of a devout Catholic. His faith seems to have genuinely permeated his art.
Right.
And the world takes notice. He receives numerous honors and awards, including an honorary doctorate from the University of Budapest.
It's as if the world recognizes that this isn't just a fleeting phase or a publicity stunt. This is a genuine transformation.
Yeah, and sadly, his life comes to an end in 1886. He travels to Beirut to attend a Wagner festival, catches pneumonia, and dies on July 31st.
It's a poignant ending to a life that was so full of passion, so full of contradictions, and ultimately so deeply intertwined with his faith.
So as we reflect on Franz Liszt's extraordinary journey, what are the key takeaways? What can his story teach us, especially as people of faith?
I think one of the most striking aspects of Liszt's life is this constant tension between his worldly pursuits and his spiritual longing.
Yeah.
He achieved incredible fame and success, experienced passionate love affairs, pushed artistic boundaries.
Right.
And yet he always grappled with those fundamental questions of faith, purpose, and meaning.
It's a reminder that even those who seem to have it all, the brilliant, the celebrated, the talented, also struggle with those universal human questions. And for you as a devout Catholic, I think there's a powerful resonance in Liszt's story. This search for a deeper connection with something beyond ourselves, beyond the material world, is a journey that many people of faith undertake.
Absolutely. And it makes me wonder, knowing Liszt's deep conviction that music should serve both God and the people.
Yeah.
What kind of music he would compose for the church today.
Right.
What would that sound like, given his complex journey, his struggles, his triumphs, and his profound return to faith?
It's a beautiful question to ponder, isn't it? It invites us to think about how we can use our own talents and passions to serve a higher purpose.
And who knows, maybe this deep dive into Liszt's life will inspire you to create some of that music yourself.
That's a wonderful thought. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into the life of Franz Liszt. It's been a privilege to explore his story with you.
It's been a pleasure. And until next time, keep seeking, keep exploring, and keep diving deep.